Hello, everybody. My name is Tom Reichel, and I'm going to introduce our team to you. Um, the the team at the University of Michigan includes 6 individuals, uh, and their credentials are very strong. I'll start with myself. I've been doing program evaluation studies for over 35 years. I was just thinking about that the other day, that the first evaluation study I did was when I was a senior in college in 1979. So that tells you a little bit about how long I've been around. But I've done community-based program evaluation studies in almost any kind of setting for a lot of different both health and human problems or programs that people have been trying to address human problems, everything from mental health to public health to education and even Head Start. I was involved in a series of Head Start evaluation studies. So I've been doing that work. Dr. Mark Zimmerman has had a similar career doing program evaluation studies and public health studies. He's a professor here in the School of Public Health and is the principal investigator of the Prevention Research Center, where all of our team is based. I'll introduce Stephanie, who's here with us.
Hi.
Stephanie is a doctoral student in psychology and has a strong interest in public health. She's one of Dr. Mark Zimmerman's doctoral students, and she will be doing a lot for this study in terms of a lot of the logistical coordination. Allison Krusky is not here with us, but she is also lending logistical support. Very experienced at running studies, collecting data, knowing how to work with community organizations who are tasked with collecting data and supporting them. And then we have 2 other PhD level researchers. Dr. Andrea Eisman, we call her Andy. Andy has just finished her PhD in public health, and she's developing expertise in the area of adolescent development. So she is guiding us in that theory and in those methods. And then Dr. Justin Heinze. Justin is has a PhD in psychology and has also had a strong focus on adolescent and young adult development. So those 2 are primarily providing content expertise so that we are assessing all the right things that we anticipate are the positive developmental outcomes of badges for baseball, and also making sure that we analyze that data using the most up-to-date statistical procedures. Okay, now I'm going to tell you a little bit about this evaluation. This evaluation will be collecting data at 14 locations across the country. There's a mix of urban and rural locations, all chosen by the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation in order to provide a diverse sample of strong badges for baseball programs. So in order to learn about the effects of badges for baseball, we need to compare the development of children who participate in this program with another group of children who do not participate in this program. So that is why we need to have a comparison program group in each of the sites that are running the Badges for Baseball program. The children who will be involved in the study will be between the ages of 9 and 14 who have not participated in Badges in Baseball before. That's very key, that we're trying to get kids who have not been in the Badges for Baseball program so that we can really find out what it's like before they are in the program and then again after they're in the program. Our age requirements do not preclude any requirements that you might use. For instance, if you want to enroll an 8-year-old in your program, you're free to do that. If you want to enroll a 16-year-old in your program, you're free to do that. But for our study, for recruiting into the study, we're going to limit it to ages 9 through 14. At each site, we hope to have between 15 and 25 children in each program group. Okay, so that would be 15 to 25 kids who are in Badges for Baseball, and then another 15 to 25 children who are in the comparison group program. So this is the first place where we're going to need your help, recruitment, and we'll talk about that later on in the presentation. How will we do the evaluation? Well, essentially, it's going to come down to the participants, the kids who are in the study will complete 3 surveys. They each take about 30 minutes, and they ask a lot of questions about their beliefs and behaviors, things that are related to important positive developmental outcomes. This includes how they think they're doing in school, how they get along with other kids, whether or not they're engaging in risking behaviors, and so forth. There's a pre-program survey. That's a survey that they will take before they start their programs. And then an end of the program survey. So at the end of the program, in its final week or so, the kids will complete a second survey that has essentially the same questions so that we can really track how their responses change from the beginning of the program. And then there will be a 4-month follow-up survey. At the 4-month follow-up survey, which will be conducted by our team here at the University of Michigan, we will collect that data probably through a multiple number of ways, including sending them one in the mail. Likely we will do a lot of them over the telephone. So those will be the 2 primary methods. We did think about putting it up online, but I think we're now against that idea. We're going to do it primarily through the mail and over the telephone. It's really important for the comparison group that the surveys be administered around the same time that they are administered for the Badges for Baseball group. It doesn't have to be exactly the same week, but it should be very close in time, so that like we wouldn't want to ask these questions like 3 or 4 months apart, because sometimes the responses are very seasonal. Like what they do for physical activity, for instance, might depend on whether it's winter or summer. So we want everybody to be roughly on the same calendar for the pre-program survey and then also the end of program survey. And so if there's questions about that at your site, we'll want to work that out. At the end of the study, or I should say at the end of the program, we're also going to ask the staff to complete surveys about the program and the youth participants. And we'll get into that in a little more detail too. So the 2 sources of data are going to be the kids themselves, and then we're also going to ask program staff to complete some surveys as well. All right, I'm going to go to the next slide now. Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to mention, because it's kind of a key point, that we are going to have financial incentives for the children to participate. When they complete the first pre-program survey, they will earn a $10 gift card, and they'll also earn a $10 gift card if they complete the end of the program survey. And if they complete the 4-month follow-up survey, they'll get a $25 gift card. So we're going to really up the incentive for that 4-month survey so that people are really motivated to do it. And if the kids, if the child completes all 3 surveys, they will be eligible for a $100 raffle prize. And we're going to give out 10 of those for everybody involved in the study. Okay, now I'll go to the next slide. Now I want to cover some of the basics about your role, and then you should know that we're going to get into a lot of detail about your role after I orient you to the study and also provide some training on research ethics. But I wanted to give you some sense of what your role is going to be right from the beginning here. So the first thing we're going to ask you to do is recruit participants. That will be a very important part of this, because we cannot enroll somebody in the study until we get parent consent, and then also the children themselves will have the opportunity to consent to be in the study as well. So the parents have to agree that it's okay for the kids to be involved, and then the kids have to say, yes, I'm okay doing this, I would like to do this. So there's 2 places where they can say no. The parents can say no, or the child can say no. So presenting this in a positive light, emphasizing the potential benefits to your program, and of course letting them know about the financial incentives will all be things that will be important to tell them during the recruitment. We'll need you to identify the participants for the study, contact their parents, distribute a written consent form and secure their signatures. We will provide you with recruitment letters and oral scripts that you can use for this purpose. All of these written materials are in the packages in the box that we sent you, and they will also be available on the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation portal on their website. So at this point, I want to stop and just ask each of the groups who are on the webinar if you have received your box with all the surveys and instructional materials. So why don't we just start with Stanford. Have you received your box?
Yes, we have.
All right. Waterville, did you get your box?
Yes, it's right here with us.
Excellent. And are the folks in North Carolina on the line yet?
Tom, they are unavailable today. They were pulled into, I guess, a last-minute field trip.
Okay.
So I told them that we would reschedule.
Okay.
Or since you're recording it, I wasn't sure if you wanted to send that link to them, or but they actually told me they have not received their box yet.
Okay.
So there's that, and then I guess whenever we're done with this, we'll discuss next steps.
Okay, that sounds fine. And Chris, down in are you in Newport News? Where are you,
yes,
Chris?
I am.
Okay.
And we have received it.
Yeah, you have received your box because we brought it to you personally. So we had a chance to do this training face-to-face down in Virginia. I guess it was last week. Oh, no, the week before last, 2 weeks ago. Okay, so I was just wanting to make sure everybody had that material. We'll be walking you through some of those materials later on in this webinar. Okay, after you get everybody recruited, you'll need to administer the youth surveys. On the first day of the program, we're going to ask you to set aside an hour to do this, even though it only takes about 30 minutes to complete. The setup time and getting kids through their consent form, that takes a little extra time. Okay, so that will be right at the beginning of the program. We're going to ask you to administer the youth assent form, or it's their version of the consent form, and then also their surveys. And these surveys, by the way, will be confidential. We're going to set up the procedures so that nobody at your agency or in your program will ever see the responses that the individual youth put on their survey forms. Very important that we honor their privacy, and we'll have procedures that will protect that. On the last day of the program, or close to the last day of program, you will administer the end of the program survey, and the procedures will be very similar. Again, the kids who are involved in the study will complete their survey in a confidential manner. All of the data will be sent back to the University of Michigan. We will be providing prepaid postage boxes that you'll just put all the materials back in the box and mail it to us. And from then on, it's up to us to process that data, enter it, and then analyze it. Okay. The other thing that's important, that will be an important part of your role, will be to distribute the gift card incentives to the survey participants. We, after conferring with the folks down in Newport News, Virginia, we were talking to them, what's the best way to get them the gift cards? Because we can't distribute them until we get the completed survey back here in Ann Arbor. We talked about mailing it to their homes, and then the folks in Virginia were telling us, well, that's probably not the most reliable method because we don't always have the most up-to-date address, and some of the kids move quite frequently. So the way we settled it was we thought we would mail all the gift cards for each of the kids who did the survey back to your agency or to your program staff, who will then be responsible for distributing those gift cards to the kids. And this will be for both the pre-program survey and the end of the program survey. Okay, so that's basically what you'll be doing to help us with recruitment and survey collection. Another task that we're going to ask you to do is to complete attendance and implementation logs, and we'll walk you through that in more detail later on. But essentially, we just want to get a real quick checklist on what kinds of program activities you did at each session, and we also want you to be really careful about keeping attendance. We think that the amount of exposure that each kid has to the program will have a difference for their outcomes. So we want to know for each kid, how many times were they there? What were they exposed to? And we're hypothesizing that the kids who get the whole program will show the biggest benefit. And that's why we need to have the attendance data. And we also want to know that the program was implemented the way it's been designed. And that's why we're doing the implementation logs. At the end of the program, we also want to ask you to complete an evaluation for each of the kids in the study. It's a very brief evaluation. It's a one-page form that we'll have you complete for each of the kids in the study. And it basically gives us a chance to hear your opinions about how that child benefited from the program. What kinds of improvements did you see happening for that kid while they were in the program? And we're hoping that having another set of eyes on the kids, another data source, we will be able to do a deeper and more accurate evaluation of the program. So those are the big things: the recruitment, the survey collection, the attendance implementation logs, and the participant evaluations that we're going to ask you to do.